Actually, about 4 years ago, we made this beer as a tasting room only product, and at that time, it was a beer of seconds, if you will. And what I mean by that, I mean that it was a beer that was comprised of, excess beer from a cherry fermentation and from blood orange and from kumquats and whatnot. So this is basically a redo of a beer that we happened upon by chance about 4.5 years ago. It was part of our Culture Club series. So if you were at Cheru 4 years ago, if you remember those Culture Club beers that we used to do, this is one of those beers scaled up. So interesting backstory on this beer. We did serve this beer at one of our anniversary parties years ago. And this past summer, when we were designing all the new beer concepts for 2021, we were short a handful of ideas, and I just so happened to be out last summer watering my front yard, and a neighbor from across the street happened to be out, and she told me, she was like, hey, you know what? Like, she's like, I always think about that beer, Romance Revisited, that you guys had at your anniversary party that I came to 3 or 4 years ago. And it just like struck me in that moment of like, wow, okay, here's an opportunity where somebody's telling me like about a beer that I forgot about. And I'm like, well, we could just take that idea and scale that and try to actually make that in a different way and actually make the beer better. So pretty interesting where the ideas come from. And this is completely random. And just happened to have a conversation with my neighbor who just happened to be at our anniversary party, who just happened to try this beer, and it was like her favorite beer she ever tasted. Using peaches, nectarines, cherries, and kumquats with our sour blonde base beer. I think you get a ton of stone fruit flavor from the peaches and nectarines, a little bit of red berry, obviously from the cherry, but I think the star of the show in this beer is the kumquats. Kumquats are very unique citrus. They provide in this beer, a great aromatic structure along with the other fruits, but there's something about that strong citrus flavor, strong citrus aromatic on the nose that's unique. And then what it does to the flavor is that pithiness from the kumquats actually gives really good bitterness to, I don't want to, combat isn't the right word, but to lay against and layer flavor with the actual acidity of the beer.